on your batteries. Check. Emergency center. Check. Store up your water. Check. And board up your window. Check. So you got to place it. Check. Before it is too late. Check. Disaster could happen anytime, any place.
Welcome to From Danger to Safety, the official disaster preparedness program from the National Emergency Management Agency, Nema. This show is proudly brought to you by our sponsor, National Caribbean Insurance. Stay with us as we move from danger to safety.
In the sun or in the rain, life's a journey, joy and pain. But NCI's here day and night, always here for you, making it right. Always here for you. With NCI, you've got a friend, always here for you, right here to the very
At National
end.
Caribbean Insurance, you are covered and secure. We're your partner, your protector, your peace of mind. So for home, for health, for life, choose NCI because we're always here for you. Always.
Always here for you. With NCI, you've got a friend. Always here for you. Right here to the very end. Always here for you. With NCI, you've got a friend. Always here for you. Right here to the very end.
From heat waves to hurricanes, understanding the weather around us is an important step in staying safe. On today's episode, we sit down with Senior Meteorological Officer Elmo Burke. He'll give us an exclusive look at the critical role he plays in crafting our local weather forecasts, explain his important contribution to Nema's operations, and address some of the most common misconceptions about weather prediction.
Hi, good day. My name is Elmo Burke. I'm the Senior Meteorological Officer, also known as the Senior Met Officer, and I work at the St. Kitts Met Services, which is a department of a section of the St. Christopher Air and Seaport Authority, also known as CASPA here in St. Kitts. I have been working as the Senior Met Officer at CASPA for the past 13 years. As a Senior Met Officer, my key role is to manage the department of the St. Kitts Met Services. Additionally, I also support the national efforts in terms of weather monitoring and weather advisory to the agency, in that NEMA, as well as to the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. And through me sitting on various national subcommittees, I also play an advisory role to those subcommittees so that I can provide integral or intimate information in terms of weather or climate as a whole to those national subcommittees. I have a very close working relationship with NEMA, or referenced sometimes as the agency, because when it comes to any kind of severe weather, I have to advise the director of NEMA in terms of what are the potential impacts that could affect us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I play that supportive role to the agency to provide them that information, recognizing that, as I said earlier, my key role is to ensure that the nation remains in a state of readiness, and I provide that advisory role when it comes to weather and climate information. In relation to the forecasting process, we here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we are not a forecasting office. The forecast for us in St. Kitts and Nevis is actually done by the Antigua and Barbuda Met Services. They have been designated through a regional arrangement to provide the local forecast as well as the what we call the aeronautical or the terminal aeronautical forecast for the airport in St. Kitts and Nevis. So the forecasting entity for us in St. Kitts and Nevis is the Antigua and Barbuda Met Service, located in Antigua and Barbuda. One of the main roles that we do in terms of to support the Antigua and Barbuda Met Service in terms of their forecast is we try to localize it. So they will do a general forecast in terms of for us in St. Kitts and Nevis. However, we add the local flavor, so to speak. So we contextualize it because we do recognize that the forecasters sitting in Antigua would not know the local context. They would not know the potential areas that could be impacted by their forecasts. So when they do a general forecast, we localize it as much as possible, especially if there's a threat to a particular area. Well, some of the main information that the Met Office collects and that is used in terms of forecast, whether it be local, regionally, or internationally, includes the air temperature, the cloud cover in terms of the type of clouds present, the height of the clouds, and the cloud type. Additionally, we also measures the barometric pressure or the atmospheric pressure. We measure the wind speed, the wind direction. We also measure what type of weather condition is persisting at the time. Additionally, we will measure the visibility because for us in aviation, how far a pilot can see is very important because the pilot would need to know, is it safe to land? Can he see the landing strip sufficiently prior to landing? So it's important for us to report in terms of the visibility and the conditions in and around the runway. Additionally, we also measure the rainfall. We do measure the rainfall every 6 hours. Although the rain might be falling in between those 6 hours, we actually do the recording and the measuring every 6 hours, and that is a standard, an international standard. So everybody would measure their rainfall every 6 hours and report it internationally. Although in between we can measure the rain rate in terms of we can look to see how much rainfall is falling within a particular period. But in terms of for the international reporting, we do that every 6 hours. So that would be 8 a.m., 2 p.m., 8 p.m., and if we are open late at night, then we will measure it again at 2 a.m. our time. Some of the main misconceptions in terms of forecasting is, I should say, persons think that we are trying to be God. We are not trying to be God. What we are trying to do, we are looking at the weather conditions at the time, and additionally, when we do our forecast, what we try to do is give a probability of the best of the conditions that are likely to experience within the next, whether it be 12 or 24 hours as it may be. So what we are doing is we are giving you the likelihood of the conditions occurring. So we are not saying with 100% certainty that this will happen, because we are not God, and we do recognize that weather is dynamic in nature. The weather can change, and it's important for us as meteorologists and forecasters and even the observers to continuously monitor the evolution or the changes in the weather conditions. In relation to the prediction of the weather, we do recognize that it's a prediction, it's a forecast, so it is not 100% foolproof. At times, yes, the forecast would be in line with what is actually happening. However, because there is the chance that it may not happen, that's why we look at the probability. So when we do in a forecast, we actually give in the probability of weather conditions occurring at a particular time, at a particular place, and in particular space. So weather is dynamic in nature. So these changes, subtle changes can happen. And it's important for us as meteorologists and forecasters to continuously monitor these weather conditions and make the necessary adjustments so that it could be in line or as close as possible to what will happen. So our aim is to get to perfect conditions. However, because we are not God, what we try to do is give you a snapshot of what the conditions are likely to be, and we would give you the probability of those weather conditions occurring. One of the things that I love most about my job is weather on a whole. I love to be able to analyze the risk, analyze the threat, the potential threat that the weather could pose to the general public and livelihoods, and to be able to communicate that risk and the necessary precautions that persons can take to safeguard those lives and livelihoods, because we do recognize that weather itself can be quite impactful. So being able to do the analysis in terms of what are the potential impacts of that weather feature or weather phenomena, and be able to communicate to the general public what risk they face based on their exposure and what type of actions they can take to mitigate or to minimize the impact on them. That is one of the things that I love about my job. One of the things that I would like to say in closing is we do recognize that weather is quite dynamic in nature. And because of this dynamism, we do recognize that sometimes our forecasts may be perceived as wrong, but bear in mind what we would have done, we would have given you a snapshot of what the conditions are likely to be based on what we are analyzing at the time. However, subtle changes can happen, and that can alter the forecast, and as such, we will make the necessary adjustments in our updated forecast. And it's important for the general public not just to listen for the forecast one time per day. It's important that if we here at the Met Office, we issue our forecast twice per day. So we will be providing that regular updates. So that regular updates would allow you to recognize that there are changes happening, and we will try to capture those changes in our updated forecast. So again, just want to say we do recognize that we're in the hurricane season, and it's important that the general public start to have their plans in place. We do recognize that we are going into the peak season. It's important that you have your plans in place. If you don't know what to do, you can always reach out to Nema, and Nema can provide you some assistance, some guidance as to what you can do to stay safe, especially as we go into the peak period of this hurricane season.
That's all the time we have for today's episode of From Danger to Safety. We trust you found our discussion with Senior Meteorological Officer Elmo Burke to be both informative and enlightening. A special thank you to our sponsor, National Caribbean Insurance, for making this program possible. The program is aired every Tuesday at 1 p.m. on Ziz Radio with a rebroadcast on television at 8 p.m. It will also be available on Nema's YouTube channel and Facebook page. For more information on disaster preparedness, follow us on our social media channels. Join us again next time.
So you got to play safe before it is too late. Disaster could happen anytime, any place. In the sun or in the rain, life's a journey, joy and pain. But NCI's here day and night, always here for you, making it right. Always here for you. With NCI, you've got a friend, always here for you, right here till the very
National Caribbean Insurance, you are covered and secure. We're your partner, your protector, your peace of mind. So for home, for health, for life, choose NCI because we're always here for you. Always.
Always here for you. With NCI, got a friend.